Our perspective guest today is one of the world's most experienced divers and an accomplished polar explorer. Paul Rose is currently the expedition leader for the National Geographic Pristine Seas expeditions. Last year, his team discovered what they say is the largest coral colony on the planet during an expedition in the Solomon Islands in the southwest Pacific Ocean. Paul Rose joins us now. Thank you very much for speaking to us on France 24.
Good morning. It's great to be here. Thank you.
You have what many people would consider to be their dream job, going on adventures all over the world to really remote places. How did you get into this field and what inspires you?
I got into this field because I'd always been interested in science, and I was compelled to work in the front line. At school and as a young man, the life of academia or being in a classroom wasn't for me. And I wanted to be out there, somewhere in the front line, having meaningful adventures. And so that turned into something called science support, where for my whole career, I've met scientists or science teams, and I help them convert their ambitious hypotheses, their big ideas, into high-performing teams and in the world's most challenging places. It's, as you say, it is a dream job, but it's a growing industry, and I encourage more people to go for it.
Well, your career must have provided you with innumerable stories. I also heard that you've even come face to face with a polar bear while naked in the Arctic. Is that right?
Yes. It's a pretty dramatic moment. I was camping up on the Northwest Passage on one of our Pristine Seas expeditions. It was a beautiful night, no wind. It was about -2. We'd had a long day, and the snow was falling gently on the tent, making white noise, and it was warm. So I was naked in my bag, sleeping bag open, and a polar bear at that time of year, they are triggered to jump on snow mounds because behind them tend to be seal pups, which they're eating at that time of year. So a polar bear walked up, I didn't hear him, jumped on me, and all of its sharp bits missed me. I woke up with a 900-pound bear, sort of this part of him on my shoulder and neck. So it pays to be lucky, I guess.
Indeed. You've also said that your work helps you to better understand Earth's problems and advocate for solutions. What are some examples of that?
Well, a good example of that is, when we look at global economies or political decision making, all those decisions are based on field work. How do we know about our resources, whether it's oil and gas, or how do we know about changes in the environment? How do we know what's happening in the jungle canopies, in the deep ocean, in the polar regions for climate change, pollution, over extraction, you name it? We know that because people are working at the very front line. And I describe it as a fine silver thread. For those of us out there, if you and I were in the tent now, and it was your turn to go outside and make dive number 5 of the day in horrible conditions, or send up a weather balloon, or go and count the penguins, you would know in the back of your mind that every single field observation, every single science data set and science report, of course, is helping to drive global economies and smart political decision making. So it's an absolutely vital job. And it's that link that gives us energy, because we know that smart political decision making and global economies are counting on all of that frontline work.
You're the expedition leader for the National Geographic Pristine Seas expeditions, and recently your team found the world's largest coral. It can be seen from space, so how had nobody come across it before?
Yes, well, that's a really good question. On the old marine charts, the sea charts, it's marked as shipwreck. And at the end of a sector in the Three Sisters in the Solomon Islands, we thought we would just go over and have a look, and realized that it wasn't a shipwreck at all, but it was an absolutely huge coral. So we quickly changed our schedule and organized a dive. And our underwater filmmaker, Manu Sanfelix, who is also a marine biologist, came back and said, hey, this is very special. This is an enormous single coral. And, if you snorkel or swim or scuba dive over a coral reef, it's made up of lots of individual corals, and that's what makes the color and the shapes and the sizes that makes the whole thing so vibrant and attractive. But this was one single lump of coral. So we dived it, we made a proper survey of it, and discovered very quickly that this was indeed the world's largest coral. So we had it checked, we had it double checked, triple checked. And what a feeling that is. On these expeditions, a lot of our results take a long time to soak in. But this, we were there on our ship, the Argo, above the world's largest coral. It was a brilliant feeling, but I have to say we discovered it entirely by accident, and it had been there because it had been sort of unofficially protected by the Three Sisters Island group, the community. And yes, you can see it from space, and like all these things, it's remote enough that no one had really got there.
You say that it's about 300 years old. I mean, obviously it's the world's largest coral, but how else is it significant?
Well, it's significant in many ways. The first thing is it shows us how much there is to discover in the ocean. So if I was a young man, I'd be thinking, great, that's another push to get me in to get out in the ocean and explore it. It's also significant in the fact because it's been protected, it's incredibly healthy. And it's in an area where there's been a lot of fishing, a lot of overfishing, and of course, like everywhere in the world, it's suffering from climate change. So the heat in the water is damaging to all marine life, particularly corals. So it shows that firstly, it's exciting and that it encourages people to get out there and explore the ocean. And the second thing, albeit more importantly, it shows that if we give ocean species some time and some space and leave them alone, they are remarkable at recovering. So this is a real beautiful thing for the Solomon Islands to see.
So how else can coral be protected? I mean, so much of the world's coral is at risk of bleaching. Does this discovery provide hope then?
It really does provide hope because it shows that if we protect it, it will come back. And the idea is that we absolutely must protect nature. Where there's a large global campaign called 30 by 30, which is a big campaign for nature that let's protect 30% of the ocean and 30% of the land areas to enable us to be healthy. This is a huge consortium of global scientists a few years ago realized that the minimum amount of nature we should protect to keep us healthy and keep the planet sustainable is 30%. So we're on a push to help to create 30% of the world's ocean being protected. So if we protect it, if we stop overfishing, if we can stop pollution, and if we can do everything we can to mitigate climate change, then corals and all marine life will be healthy. And without a healthy ocean, humanity itself is not healthy.
And what are some other things that you're looking at specifically when you go out for pristine seas? Is it really science-based data collection? What kinds of things do you look for?
It is exactly that. Yes, well said. It's science-based. So we have an excellent team of international scientists, and we work with indigenous and local populations because they know their waters better than we ever will. So we use their knowledge and their expertise, and of course their historical data too. Back through generations. These countries know a lot about their coastal waters, but we're really good at filling in the gaps. We've got a submarine that goes to 1,300 meters. We've got a lot of contemporary techniques and modern equipment. Plus, we also have a media team. So my team is made up of scientists and a media team. So we can do a complete comprehensive science survey every single day from the surface to the full ocean depth. So every day we do a great water column survey, which is scuba divers, deep divers, the submarine, and remote cameras. And then, being as we have such a strong media team, we can also tell compelling stories about what we're finding. And that's the big trick.
Compelling indeed. Very interesting. Thank you so much, Paul Rose, for speaking to us on France 24.
Thanks very much. Have a great day.